Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OpenExO Live. It is really good to be with you all. It's been a bit of a break since our last OpenExO Live, and it's really good to be back. And this week we are back with Angel Milev, who is calling in from Sofia, Bulgaria. And you can see there, we have a few folks coming up in the next couple of weeks. We do have some open slots for later on in the year, around June, May, June. And so if you are interested in being on OpenExO Live, sharing your story, then do head over to the marketplace on openexo.com and you can sign up to be on the show. It's really great to connect with people from all over the world. And before we get Angel up on screen, I did get a few words from some community members. The first one coming from Diego, and he just said, I have had the pleasure of working with Angel on several projects and have come to understand how much his approach to the reporter role revalues our coaching work during sprints. He is easygoing and kind, and because he takes pride in his work, he will go above and beyond to ensure the highest standards are met. Then we have from Zhang, Angel is a very dependable and easy to work with. He is thorough in his work and always considerate of others. It was a joy to work with him on the email sprint. And lastly, we have from Augusto, a list of adjectives that come to mind when I think of Angel: committed, professional, respectful, listener. I worked with Angel during the email sprint. He was able to quickly come up to speed with the sprint methodology and fulfilled his reporter role excellently. And so with that, I want to welcome Angel. How are you doing this afternoon?
Doing great. Thank you, Kevin. How are you? And really, thank you for all the words by people that I really value, part of the community.
It's an absolute pleasure. It's good to be back on OpenExO Live and good to be chatting. I think we've connected many times, but not so much, like this, and not in person yet. That will hopefully happen sometime soon. But what I love to do at the start of each show is to ask you just to share a little bit about yourself. Give the folks who are watching a bit of background about yourself and how you came to join the OpenExO community.
Yeah, sure. I've spent most of my career in media and journalism, and even though I've done different things, this is still the trade that I most identify with. So I was employee number one back at college at agency. We were providing editorial services to the likes of Reuters and AP and other agencies, news agencies. So this was my first introduction to really editing and anything to do with media and journalism. We were recruiting editors and journalists, so that was a great period of learning a lot of things and training under Reuters journalists. So I did that for a few years and then transitioned to pure journalism, covering tech and real estate for a few years. But all this time, it was my intention to also start my own business and venture. So this happened about 10 years ago. Time really flies. When I was, I had launched a few interview-based online shows, I would say, where I would interview people. So usually I'm on the other side of the table. I'm the one asking the questions. But then around this time, I joined the Startup Accelerator. And some of our mentors were actually from SU. And it was pivotal in a few ways for me because other than being mentored about everything that has to do with starting a company and raising funds and everything. It was also my introduction to the world of exponential technologies, and SU. Peter and Ray and Salim have been a major inspiration ever since. And also an introduction to the lean startup methodology and everything to do with lean that the sprint, the EXO sprint has a lot to do with as well. And then I came to London, where I'm right now. I'm not in London, but I spent most of the past years there, and started organizing live events around technology, including with people from SU and Stephen Kotler as well, James Altucher, and that was an epic time of building a community around exponential technologies and all that. And that was around the time when the book Exponential Technologies came out as well. And then I remember starting Googling about everything has to do with exponential technologies, having read that and having watched many of Salim videos and being inspired by them. And I came across the OpenExO community. Maybe that was around 2017, 18, I think. And I've been a part ever since, and never looked back, and I'm yet to find anything more compelling and interesting. I've had some interactions with some of the members, including the core team, and it's been great. And thank you personally, Kevin, for all the help and assistance on all fronts when it comes to the community.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, and as you know, because you've been around for a while, I mean, we've had many different iterations. We are also we follow the EXO model, experiment a lot, really trying to find what makes the most sense to ultimately reach our MTP of transforming the world for a better future, right? And that sort of brings me to MTP, and a massive transformative purpose is sort of vital for the EXO model and for being an exponential organization. But many of our community members and people in our sort of ecosystem all have a massive transformative purpose, or really purpose is an important part of their existence, I guess. And so, I mean, would you like to share what your MTP is?
Yeah, sure. So even though it's not anything which has been like clearly defined and put to paper, I noticed that there's been an overarching theme, of everything that I've been doing so far, whether as a journalist or later organizing the events and then raising some funds to build a DAO with Google, and building a community around one of the blockchains. And this theme has been, just finding something that I'm really excited about, and this has been exponential technologies and the effect that they have had so far and will have in the future, and sharing it with the people. So I realized that basically my MTP is inspiring and educating everyone about the immense opportunities that are coming back, that are coming up, opened by exponential technologies.
No, absolutely. Now, one exponential technology, which of course no one can ignore right now, is what we're seeing with AI, with large language models, generative AI, GPT. Now it's a very hot topic. I mean, Chat GPT, that graph which shows 100 million members in 5 days or whatever, just insane. But then of course we've had a number of influential people who are also saying we need to be careful, right? And so being in the space, I'm sure you are leveraging it. I mean, many journalists are very concerned, right? Because they're saying this is going to take our jobs versus how can this augment us? But yeah, what's your view on what we're seeing?
Yeah, really, it's been crazy, and of course there's a high dosage of hype around this as well. not unfounded. And it's interesting, having been following the work of Salim and Peter and Ray for so many years. We've known that this is coming. We didn't know exactly how and when, and that everyone has been talking about the 3 Ds, that it will disrupt the dirty and what was it, the dangerous jobs and the dull ones. And now it seems that it might not be the case, and just intellectual jobs are at risk as well. I've been following this and playing around with this, and of course, both excited and a little bit. I realize I'm also cautious, and watching all the because it's really something that we've never seen so far in this particular form and shape. Even though we've known that this will at some point arrive. I remember a few years ago, Peter was having those annual conversations with Ray, and at some point, remember he was asking him, and Ray, sharing his predictions about the future, and Peter asked him, do you think that ultimately there will be anything that humans are doing now that AI will not be capable of doing? And Ray goes and says no. And that was probably 6 or 7 years ago. And at that time, it still sounded a little bit of probably overstatement. But now I think everyone can see that this is coming. And in addition, I also agree with everyone that thinks that we need to be cautious in a way. From the open letter that Elon and many others have signed, to experts like I've been following Professor Stuart Russell, from the University of Berkeley, and it was very interesting. Even a few years ago, he was giving this analogy. Imagine if aliens, if we receive from a letter from aliens who are saying we're coming in, whether it's in 10 years or whatever, just this, we are coming. What are we going to do? We're not just going to respond with a out of office, email response, right? We will start preparing. And it's the same with AI. We know that it's coming, and AGI in particular, but we are still not doing anything. So I was thinking that he might be, I was just curious what his opinion will be when ChatGPT came up. And a few weeks ago, I read an opinion by him that really we badly need control and governance right now. And then I'm also curious what you think about this.
Yeah, well, I mean, we speak about the immune system within organizations, right? And I mean, often, the organizations with the biggest immune system are institutions, right? Whether that's government institutions, education institutions, and so I do agree. But my huge concern is the lack of understanding. You've seen some countries wanting to outright ban things that could be detrimental to their long-term performance. So one thing that really does concern me is that most exponential technologies are just a black box for so many. Even myself. I'm not an engineer, or a developer, and whilst I have a general knowledge and a general understanding of things, there's still a lot that I don't understand. I'm not a physicist. I'm not, and so it's really, it does concern me that we don't really understand this, and that people who are going to make decisions don't understand it either. And so it's a weird impasse I think we find ourselves in, because I agree we need certain safeguards, and we need people to to use caution, but then also the cynical person in me says, the people who are asking for a slowdown maybe are the people who are currently really far behind, and are looking for a way to catch up. But maybe that's just a little cynical, right? So it's it's really interesting. I think that the future, the future has to include AI, right? Because we can really see so many improvements. You think about the medical industry. If we can have an AI systems that, which essentially algorithms, right, that can pass data that a human can't, that can mean we are better diagnosing people. Surely we should do that. If we can have systems that can help governments to administer things better and reduce homelessness or poverty, etc., surely we should do that. But also we don't want an AI overlord, right?
Yeah, definitely. I've been thinking about all of these recently, and I started to realize how difficult it is to make a definitive decision right now, because you don't want to stop progress, and probably you can't. Even I think it was against Stuart Russell who was saying that even though he is such a proponent of control and governance, he didn't sign the open letter. Because he doesn't think that 6 months is enough of a time frame to really do something meaningful, and B, because okay, maybe we can get like the main players to do, but then there will be other actors, like whatever governments, rogue actors that will not abide, and they will even use this pause to get an advantage. And it's really complicated. So one thing I think he was proposing this this model of not setting hard objectives to AI and just getting it to learn from us, and evolving its objectives as it evolves as well. Which I'm not a specialist. I don't know. It sounds credible, and I don't know how difficult it is to implement. But again, I was listening to the latest episode with Peter's podcasts with the founder of Stability AI, which is one of the open really actors that are developing an open AI, and he was saying that the next 6 months will be really critical about where this goes. So it'll be interesting to watch.
No, absolutely. And Emad from Stability actually signed the open letter, right?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, right? I think one of the things that really concerns me is the ability for AI to be used for disinformation, right? We're already living in a society that is so full of disinformation. You just see all the images of Trump being arrested that are all fake. And that's a massive concern, right? And that's something that we haven't been able to get a handle on, around social media. And so it's, I think a lot of the people are like, this just compounds that problem. And so so what do we do? There's a part of me though that also thinks that there's such a big job to be done around informing people of exponentials, right? Of exponential technologies, the abundance that they can create, what that means, how we can use this for good. And I think we're just on the tip of the iceberg there. I don't know what your thoughts are, like just seeing the world, right? Often we're in this community and we think everyone else is thinking like this, sees this, and then you speak to your aunt or to an old colleague or something, and they say to you, whoa, like what spaceship are you living on, that you're speaking like this? So yeah, I don't know what your experience is or what you think.
I've actually been thinking about this a lot. A few things as I'm listening to you come to mind. The first thing is this divide between really communities like ours and I don't want to say the rest of the world, but like traditional organizations and setups, and also including myself. And I'm probably I'm sure that many others have experienced this, that we are so forward looking and anticipation to what we could expect and all the possibilities. And I absolutely agree, and I've subscribed to all of these ideas that we can turn the entire world into a paradise based on these technologies if we play our cards well. And in anticipation of everything that is coming, just coming back to whether, take coding as an example, before there was Copilot and the way it was done, or anything else, recruiting or whatever, seems so old school already, the way it's happening right now. And this is, I even asked ChatGPT yesterday to come up with a term about this, and it suggested techno-futurist dissonance, the state of cognitive dissonance between what is possible if you dwell too much in the future and right now, and also this divide between what you were saying. And I think the other thing that I think is worth mentioning and considering, we as a community, OpenExO, can do a lot about it. And I think there's a few of the tools that we have at our disposal that are probably underutilized that we could put to good use, like the sway proposals and even the sprint itself. I think we should be running sprints all the time about tapping into this power of the community, and also the methodology that we have and the rest of the tools of coming up with solutions to such problems, and developing new frameworks, whether formally or informally organized within the community. I think this is a huge potential that we could also explore.
No, absolutely. Not only can that be great learning, but it also can actually, come up with really good insights.
Definitely.
Because we internally we often say that we're probably only going to make a dent if we have more than 1 million people thinking the way we do, and so we have to find ways of making it exciting for people and engaging people and giving people a lot of value, and so the road is quite long. We've only been going at it for a short amount of time, although because we live in this really fast-paced world, 1 or 2 years does sound like a lot of time, which it isn't. And I think sometimes we also have to remind ourselves that the exponential curve is slow for a long time before you hit a knee. OpenAI didn't start developing chat GPT just the week before it blew up, right? And so I think it's also finding that balance. And Definitely. So, Angel, as we come to a close, as I said to you before we were online, we don't have enough time to have this discussion, and I will say to those community members who are in the sort of basic or premium tiers, etc. We are having weekly calls, networking sessions. So do join those to have conversations like this, right? Which aren't on public, but are with other community members. But it's been great to connect with you. I always end off by asking the question of what is the one thing you want people to take away from either what you've discussed today or one thing that you really want people to take away. What is that one thing?
Yeah, sure. Before this, just to finish, I think what we are saying about the community and what we could do, it's almost, we have these tools available thanks to the to the work of Salim and the entire community. It's a collective effort, and it's almost, I view it as our responsibility that we need to use them if we can make a difference that to do, and this could only happen with the entire community. Yeah, my kind of encouragement and wish for everyone would be to not be afraid to experiment, and to whether it's a career change, and I think this would be more the case than it has been so far with everything that is coming, all the disruption, all the changes. Nothing will be the same. The new normal is that there is no normal. So just be curious and be brave, and always experiment, try on new things, whether it's a hobby, start a business, join a cult, maybe not a cult, join a community like ours. Yeah, and it'd be great to connect with you somewhere around the world.
Awesome,
this was
Angel.
you, this hypothetical person, and you personally as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's really been wonderful, wonderful connecting with you, yeah, I really appreciate it. Hopefully, we will get to connect more, and that you will be able to connect with folks in the community as well. So folks should definitely look out for you. And it's been wonderful chatting to you, and we'll chat to you again soon, hopefully.
You too. Great. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for everything.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Bye-bye.
So great chatting to Angel. And yeah, if you want to have a discussion about exponential technologies, as I said, join the community. You can join the welcome calls, the networking calls that happen each week, and connect with amazing people from around the world. It's been wonderful to be back. I'm going to close out with a video about the new book, which is available at openexo.com/book, and we'll see you all next week.